Hello, everyone, and welcome to our latest Alta Insights webinar. I'm Jeremy Yohe, Alta's Vice President of Communications, and we've got a wonderful presentation lined up today to hopefully at the end of the hour give you some simple and actual strategies that will help you grow your business, survive in this downside of the market. Before starting, we always need to touch on a few housekeeping items. Today's webinar is being recorded. You'll get an email with a link to the recording tomorrow, and you can always access all of Alta's webinar recordings at alta.org/webinars. Also, just a note, the email that you'll get tomorrow will include a link to download a copy of today's presentation, and you can also access a PDF in the download section of the GoToWebinar window pane. If you have any questions during the webinar, submit them to the questions box. We'll hold a little time at the end for Q&A. And with that, let me introduce today's speaker. Joining us today, we have Sam Trimble. Sorry, I was chuckling. I see a little note already. Keith says, looking forward to hearing from you, Sam. Sam is Vice President of Strategic Growth for MyHome, a WFG company. I found this interesting in the first line of your bio, Sam. It says, Sam helps companies grow. So if that's what you're here for, hopefully that has your attention. He's worked for hundreds of title companies and law firms, helping them navigate the always changing marketplace and helping them understand marketing, sales, and technology. Last year, Sam spoke on this topic at Alta One, and I actually had the pleasure to join him and a few other experts on stage for the New York State Land Title Association's Title Tech event, where we talked about how title agents can use technology to market their business. So Sam, with that, I am excited to hear your thoughts on marketing. Turn it over to you.
Awesome. So you can see my screen already, right? You can see this?
Sure can.
Cool. Yeah, for those of you that are on here, I'm like a Zoom fanatic and run GoToWebinar, and I'm just like trying to figure it out. It's like, I feel like my parents right now, but we're gonna get through it. Thanks so much for hanging out. Jeremy, thanks to you and everybody at ALTA for allowing me to not only be a part of such an awesome and powerful organization, but also to hang out for a while today. So thanks everybody for joining us from all over the country. Really appreciate it. We're going to have a lot of fun today. As Jeremy said, if you have questions, comments, drop them in the chat, get engaged. We're going to have a Q&A section at the end, so save up your questions and I'd be glad to help navigate that stuff any way we can. So welcome to Shifting Market Strategies, the top title sales and marketing myths busted. So like Jeremy said, I meet with hundreds of title agents. Last year, I met with over 300 title agents and real estate attorneys all across the United States. And I kind of aggregated out what I heard from them on a regular basis. And we're going to take those myths and we're going to bust them using data. I'm a nerd. I'm a member of the Title Nerds. Shout out to any of the Title Nerds here on the webinar. So facts, figures, and statistics are really fun and exciting for me. So I'm going to use a lot of them. So real quick, just so you know who's talking at you, my name's Sam Trimble. That's my beautiful hometown of El Paso, Texas, on the Texas, New Mexico, and Mexico border. Actually, those mountains that you see in the top part, that's in Mexico. That's just how close we are. So graduated from UTEP, not the all right, like the cool UT one where McConaughey went, but I went to University of Texas, at El Paso, came out of college, became a realtor, got involved in the title business over a decade ago, and became a vice president of an independent title agency here in Texas and New Mexico. I've been excited and super thankful to be a contributor to Inman and some of the other publications. I've really found my home now with literally MyHome, a WFG Williston Financial Group company. I work alongside a group of incredible people, and our sole purpose as our group, the Marketing Technology Director Group, is to help people grow and streamline their business. So I'm excited to be with you guys today talking about those very things. So for some reason, there we go. So myth number one, and this is one that's kind of really interesting right now. Unless you've been under a rock, you've seen a lot of talk about artificial intelligence as of late. Microsoft has really kind of doubled down on this with some investments they've made in ChatGPT, which is just one of countless places where you can get into the AI space. But if you build it, they will come. We think that customers want our transaction cycles to be mostly automated. So there's a lot of kind of back and forth on how much automation there should be, how much we should be notifying clients and customers during the process of what's going on. But I think that we think that they want their transactions to be mostly automated. But we need to listen to our clients and customers and see what they like best. So if done wrong, there's a few kind of warnings and a few risks of automation. One, out of control notifications. If you're anything like me, you've heard a realtor say, oh, you know, my client was getting so many notifications that they kind of stopped paying attention and they missed some important things, right? So limiting our notifications if we're going to do a lot of automation is important. Incomplete data and bad variables. Have you ever gotten an email where it was, you know, some company saying that you were their most important customer and they loved you so much and the variable was wrong? So it was like, dear XX_Y. You're so important to us and we couldn't be in business without you, XX_Y, right? So like that's a bad data variable. So we want to make sure that when we are collecting information that everything is complete and correct. Otherwise, we're going to have kind of a loss of personal touch. You know, if somebody sends me an email and I turn into XX_Y instead of Sam, I know that this is a mass email, or I know that this is an automated email, and we've really lost some personal touch there. One of the things that people are striving for in today's world, I think, is that personal touch, is that CX or customer experience being at a high level. So there are opportunities absolutely to use artificial intelligence and automation and all these other things to streamline our business. But if we listen to our clients and customers, survey says, and these numbers may really kind of surprise you. So we did a survey of a bunch of top producing real estate agents and mortgage and loan officers in the Pacific Northwest, and we asked them, how beneficial would it be to receive notifications on the status of your title order within your transaction management system? Shockingly, it's 70 to 30%. 70% said either not beneficial at all or only somewhat beneficial. When we asked them how they would like to be communicated with on these types of updates, you guessed it, email, right? So at the end of the day, sometimes I think we do things that are going to be helpful on our back end, make us more productive, make our lives a little bit easier. But if we listen to our clients and customers, 70-30, you see these numbers on the screen, don't find that a whole lot of value behind receiving notifications that way. They just want a quick email. So this slide always cracks me up because I feel like I can hear it, right? I was a Sprint person for forever. The Sprint, I don't even know if it's still around. I think it is. And I just remember I would call and it'd be like, you know, for hours and areas of service, press 1 for this, press 2 for this. Or for a representative, please say representative. And I'd say representative, right? Like I was trying so desperately to be heard. And so this is our experience as consumers in this country. And you'll notice that we've actually come away from that a little bit lately, right? So like used to, if I were to call my cable company, it'd probably be 10 or 15 minutes before I ever got to a live person, if I even did. Now I very quickly get to a live person. It may be offshore, but I very quickly get to a live person because they've realized that we wanted to have actual communication. I didn't want to press a bunch of numbers and guess my pen and do all those things. So when you think about that type of client experience, I think we need to think about how we can do that in our own business in the title space. So again, I'm a nerd. And so in preparation for this presentation, when I was building it out, Justin Stutz and I sat down and within the WFG family of companies, we use some different programs to help promote reviews, right? Receive reviews for the company, but also to help manage those reviews and really leverage them. That's how we got to a really great NPS score and, you know, considered world-class and all these things, but there's programs behind it that we use. And one of the programs that we use, you're able to go in and aggregate out keywords that are found in the most commonly in reviews. So this is 2019, right? Which seems far in the rearview mirror right now, even though it was only 4 years ago. But here's kind of those keywords from the main reviews in 2019. It was all about getting the job done. People were talking about checklists and closing, timing. They were talking about the procedure and the process of buying or selling a piece of real estate. everything was transactional, right? They were talking about the transactions, they were talking about systems and what systems were being used, things like that. But basically it was all around getting the job done, right? And then 2020 happened, right? March of 2020, 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Here we are 27 years later, we're still flattening the curve. And the keywords changed. And the mentality of consumers in the United States and across the world changed. And you'll notice it became a lot more about how we made people feel. So the keywords from 2020 to towards the end of last year were, people were talking about their experience. People were saying that they were appreciative for how they were made to feel. They were comfortable. They felt like it was a team effort. People were understanding of what they were going through. They weren't talking about a house or a property or a transaction. They were talking about a home, right? There's a big, powerful shift in the mindset here. They were talking about things being clear and concise, easy to understand, people being helpful. And so I think it's important for us to realize that when the lockdown happened, we have a very short-term memory in this country, right? And as humans, we do. So we forget wars, we forget tragedies, we forget all kinds of good, bad, and indifferent things. But we still are living in an emotional economy right now, right? People are feeling, they want to be made to feel a certain way. I mean, look at consumers that use things like Birchbox, right? Have you ever heard of like Birchbox or like the Chewy boxes that go out, or Spreza box? There's all these, and there's all the female ones. Some are clothing, some are for pets, whatever it might be. You'll get a box, I'll get a box, and it has like 5 or 6 things in it. Some hair pomade, which obviously I should have used more of today, right? Like some lotion, which I should have used more of too, that maybe would have made these bags go away. There's another reason, Jeremy, to maybe hop over to Zoom. There's a great filter. So like on Zoom, I mean, you would hardly be able to tell that I never sleep. But so I opened this box and it has all these things in it. If I calculated the total value of everything in that box, it's probably like $10. How much is a subscription? Like $35 a month. Why? Because the presentation is cool and it makes me feel a certain way. Consumers are less price conscious than we think, especially millennials, by the way, because millennials are the ones driving, sales of things like those subscription services and whatnot, subscription boxes. They're less price conscious and they're more concerned with how they're made to feel. These are the same people that pick a city and move there and then find a job, right? Us and our parents and other people would pick a job, apply for that job. If they got the job, then they would go to that place. It's the opposite for people. So it's all about experience. So I think when you're thinking about your marketing, when you're thinking about your sales strategy, when you're thinking especially about your customer experience, how they relate to you guys in a transaction from start to midway, feedback, collecting feedback during the transaction instead of after it, all the way to closing, what does that feel like to them? These are the words that they want to feel. And so I think that's really important to keep in mind. So we need to use automation and technology to enhance customer experience, to make it better, to make it stand out from the crowd, which is what we all need to be doing right now, not hide behind it. A lot of people, I feel like, use technology to kind of get a process done and streamline the behind the scenes process, but then they kind of start to hide behind it. So we should absolutely be using it to create a better experience. And here's something funny to keep in mind. 39%, which is basically 40%, which is basically half, right? So let's just say half of consumers say that speaking to a live person is make or break for good service. So is this an opportunity for things like our friends at Alana AI, maybe to integrate a little artificial intelligence, chatbot, text bot into your process? Maybe. But the point is that we determined half now, we just kind of rounded this up to half, of consumers say that speaking to a live person makes or breaks whether or not they have a good experience. So what is this saying? They want to talk to a human. They want to get an email from a human. So we can absolutely enhance their experience and create some efficiencies operationally for ourselves by using automation, but we do not want to hide behind it exclusively. People want to be communicated with by another human. So numero dos, myth number 2, we're relationship based, therefore we really don't need social media or digital advertising, and if we have it, it certainly is not going to help us grow. I hear that very regularly, and geographically you can probably imagine different parts of the country that find social media more important to growing their business than others. But at the end of the day, there are opportunities out there, and when you start to shift your thought process a little bit and turn it into more of an efficiency and less of a kind of unnecessary evil, I think you'll start to change the way your mindset works a little bit. And again, here's a couple fun statistics. So 76% of consumers rely on social media to guide purchasing decisions. 76%, 3/4 of all consumers not only appreciate and enjoy social media when they're trying to find their next title company, real estate agent, sushi joint, cobbler, if that's even still a thing, like a shoe shop, right? But they actually rely on it to make their decisions. And it takes 5 to 7 impressions for anyone to ever even remember our brand, right? So as a former title agent in Texas and New Mexico, I loved our brand. It was fantastic. I knew it. I recognized it. I was in the real estate world before I got into the title business. Other people had no idea what it was, right? So we think that everybody knows who we are, and maybe they do within our tight-knit little industry, but outside of our industry, our clients, our customers, our future clients and customers need to know who we are too. And it takes 5 to 7 impressions for a consumer to even remember a brand. How many times can you and your salespeople and your marketers and your principals and stuff get in the car and drive around town and kiss babies and shake hands to get to that 5 to 7 point? You know, you really need to enhance it using social. And it's funny because we spend money on these things, right? We spend money on business card ads. One of my favorite things has always been to, go to a golf tournament and see my sign on like the 15 tee box, and my friends are taking pictures with it, some appropriate, some not as appropriate, right? To give me grief about it. But it's kind of fun to see my sign on the tee box at the golf tournament. It's kind of fun to see my business card in a publication. You know, I live in West Texas, Friday Night Lights. So every football booster club in El Paso is reaching out, trying to get you to place a business card ad. And they're like, you know, for only $150, we could put you in this full color thing and no one will ever see it. And we know that, right? So we spend money on these things and only us and our friends see it, when we could be spending our money on hyper targeted, specific advertising digitally on social media, across other platforms that we'll talk about in a second, that are getting in front of the eyeballs that you actually want to see these things. Future clients and customers, industry professionals. You can use it for all kinds of things. But $150 in advertising on Instagram and Facebook, if you targeted correctly, you could probably get 40, 50,000 impressions from that and several engagements, countless engagements probably. Whereas that same $150, how many people are going to see that business card ad? You know, no offense to those programs anymore, but I'm shocked in some ways that they still exist. And so we need to be a little bit more strategic, especially as we're battening down the hatches. We don't know for sure what's coming. I'm excited that I'm starting to see more and more signs that the market is bouncing back a little bit, right? Like inventory issues are being corrected slightly. There's still seem to be some active buyers in the market. We're starting to see a little bit of signs that things are going in the right direction, but really the market is still kind of in flux. So where you spend your dollars is more important than ever. So if I could spend $150 to put an ad in a business journal or in a, you know, business card ad in some publication, if I want to support a charity or something, that's one thing, and that's great, and we should all be doing that. But if I'm looking to build my business, that same $150 could go significantly further if I chose to use social media or digital advertising. So what are those opportunities, right? And this stuff can get very overwhelming, but I'm telling you right now, they want your money, right? Like Instagram and Facebook, Zuckerberg needs your cash. So they have made it so easy to create ad campaigns that are hyper targeted, that are very high functioning, that anybody can do it. If I can do this stuff, trust me, anybody can. So there's really simple audience creation on Instagram and Facebook. I am a huge fan of LinkedIn. I've used it for countless reasons for years. There's going to be some takeaways throughout this. And on the last slide, I have a little code that you can snap a picture of to get all the takeaways and also connect with me. So I hope you'll connect with me on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is such a powerful tool. When you think about it, you know, Microsoft owns LinkedIn. During the pandemic, they dumped tens of millions of dollars into development to really make it a tool that's incredible to use. I've used it for commercial business development to create relationships with principals and investment firms and things like that. It's a great place to do some recruiting, and you can kind of do it for free. I have a whole class that I created at one point on LinkedIn recruiting. I did it along with a coworker of mine, Tom, you know, a great guy. And we sat through and we literally walked people on how to recruit using LinkedIn for free, right? So it's a great tool for that if you're looking to recruit. And really, it's a place to build market authority, right? This is a place where you can be seen as the absolute expert in your market. People can endorse you. People can write recommendations, the modern, like the 2023 version of a letter of recommendation. It's really powerful. And one of the things that I've had a lot of fun with in the past is retargeting campaigns. So what is that? You know, some of you may be wondering what a retargeting campaign is. So you know how you went online and you searched for a new ladder at Home Depot, and then, you know, for the next 3 weeks, all you saw was ladders. You were on Facebook, ladders, USA Today, ladders, Fox News, CNN, Wall Street Journal, MSNBC, wherever you were, all you saw was ladders. That's retargeting. You can do that as a small business, right? So at one point in my former life as an independent title agent in Texas and New Mexico, we started to get into going into the RFB, like for state, local, and federal requests for proposals, right? We were trying to get some deals from the government, basically. And so as part of that RFP process, sometimes there'd be like a board review or something like that, and we'd have to walk into a room and answer questions about our financials and about our experience and things like that. So how fun was it when I got to walk in those rooms every once in a while, and my boss would walk in there and we'd sit down and we'd be talking to somebody from a housing authority or from the federal government or the state, and they'd say, man, I've been seeing your guys' logo and information about your company and projects you've done. I've been seeing them everywhere online lately. Like, I didn't know who you were until recently, and now I'm seeing things everywhere. We'd walk out of those meetings and my boss would be like, wow, can you believe that? And I'm like, yeah, I can believe that. It's called retargeting. What? And I showed him exactly how we're doing it. As a title company, there's a platform called AdWorks, ADWERX, I think, or WORX, one of those two. That's mainly for realtors and lenders, but it works really, really well for title companies as well. I've worked with a couple companies out of New York. We've started doing a little bit of that, where we can create our own custom ad. And once somebody goes to our website, or if they're in a certain demographic and a certain profession, it will find them. And when they're on Wall Street Journal, your ad will show up. Not only Facebook and Instagram and places like that, but when they're on MSNBC scrolling, or Forbes, or looking at the latest news on CNN or Fox News or wherever they go, they will see your information. How cool is that as a small business? When somebody sees that, you'll hear about it, right? I always knew that that was working when I got text and was like, dude, I was just on MSNBC and I saw your guys' ad. So it's very affordable when you do it kind of as an individual company, and it's a lot easier to do than you would think. And how cool is that when you walk into a meeting and you already have a warm introduction that was done for you doing something like retargeting? So being on those major sites really impresses people, and it's a lot easier and more affordable to do than you would probably think. I am a huge fan of BombBomb, right? So BombBomb, if you guys don't know what it is a great like video messaging service. So rather than sending a video that I have to attach or send them a link to YouTube or whatever, you can embed a video into an email or into a text message. And then I know when they click it, when they open it, when they watch it, if they forward it, how long they watched it, all of those things. It's a great way. I can write like I am right now. I can look you in the eye. You can hear my voice. I can say your name, Jeremy, right? Like you can hear me, and it creates a great connection versus just black words on a white screen in the form of an email. You know, I had, speaking of commercial business development, you know, I'm in West Texas. So if you hate the Cowboys, I'm sure you'll drop it in the chat right now. All of you people all over the country that don't like the Cowboys, but I love the Dallas Cowboys and I love Emmitt Smith. If you don't know who that was, you know, you must not watch football a lot, but in the 90s, he was an incredible running back that set all kinds of records, took us to multiple Super Bowls, and he's turned into a great business person. Any of you that know anything about Walmart know that Walmart is basically a land developer, right? Like, yes, they sell things and that's the way they make most of their money, but they're also really smart when it comes to development. They buy big pieces of land and they put a Walmart on the middle, and then they ground lease out or sell or build to suit out all the periphery pieces, because where does every business want to be? Close to a Walmart. There's lots of foot traffic. So Emmitt Smith created something very similar with a company called E. Smith Legacy. He would do it, but in the medical space. So he'd buy a piece of land and then either sell or long-term ground lease out that center piece to a big hospital, a HCA or tenant hospital potentially. And then he would do build to suit or ground leases of all the land all around that for outpatient surgery clinics, dental clinics, ophthalmologists, whatever it might be, medical stuff. And so I knew he was coming to El Paso and he was going to be doing a development here. And I'm like, man, I love the Cowboys. I love Emmitt Smith. I'm in the title business. I'm a real estate nerd. I got to get in contact with these people. Well, if you have ever tried to get in contact or tried to kind of cold call a potential client or customer at a big developer, like it's impossible to get to them, right? Like their email is not listed, their phone number is not listed. You can't get past the gatekeeper. So what I did is I made a bomb video, right? I said, hey, my name is Sam Trimble. I'm with Lone Star Title right here in El Paso. Would love to have the opportunity to tell you a little bit about my company and about why we do things slightly differently. It's a tight-knit community, and we heard you're coming to town. Not only am I thankful for those rings that you got, the Cowboys in the 90s, but I'm also thankful that you're going to be investing in our community. I'd love to stop by, introduce myself, tell you a little bit about our company, and we'd love to have the opportunity to work with you should it ever present itself as an opportunity. That's all I did, right? Quick 30-second video. I sent it through BombBomb. I tried every iteration of Emmitt Smith, Emmitt.Smith, E. Smith, Smith.Emmitt, you know, all of these things at their URL, and one finally went through, right? And then I saw that it was opened, and then I saw that it was watched, and I saw it was watched again, and it was forwarded. And I get an email from his right-hand woman, Tamala Thornton, an incredible businesswoman in Dallas, Texas. And she said, hey, you know, swing by the office and we'd be glad to hear what you guys have going on. So I hopped on the company jet, Southwest Airlines. Shout out to Southwest. They're having a little bit of a hard time right now, it seems, but and I showed up, met them. We didn't get to do all the deals, but we got to do some of the deals. And it was because I got into their inbox with something that was different, something that stood out from the crowd. It wasn't just an email. It wasn't just a, you know, a text message or something like that. It was a video where I could look him in the face. He could see me, he could hear me, and we could create a connection that's the second best next to an in-person connection. So I absolutely love BombBomb. I did a lot of commercial business development my last couple of years there, and it turned into hundreds of millions of dollars worth of deals based on being able to get into somebody's inbox in a way that was meaningful, stood out from the crowd, and warranted a reaction. So I absolutely love BombBomb. It is a great opportunity if you're not using it for you, your salespeople. At the end of the day, we need to be where our clients are, right? This graph goes through the end of last year. Digital advertising and marketing. Look at this trajectory. Look at traditional. You know, I did TV commercials, we did business journals, we did those business ads, we did all of those things, but look at what's happening here. So we absolutely need to be where our clients are, which is in the digital space. So if you're not investing in digital advertising in a smart way, it doesn't have to be complicated, doesn't have to be expensive, doesn't have to take a ton of time, but it can be really, really powerful. Check out some retargeting opportunities, check out how you can start to use video to communicate with your clients in a meaningful way. And you'll see the results from that roll in, absolutely. So myth number 3, and I see this so much in our space, our marketing must be title related and absolutely educational. So let's think through this for a second. At the end of the day, you are your own best market research, right? What do you find interesting? When you're scrolling and you see a boring explanation of some real estate term, do you find that interesting? Do you find that engaging? Do you share that? Do you comment on that? Do you send that to your families and friends? Do you save it to your phone with a screen grab? Probably not. So why then do we put out the same marketing that we don't even find engaging, right? We're our own best market research. So the things that you see online when you're scrolling, you know, if you're anything like me, like I've dropped my phone on my face so many times laying in bed, just doom scrolling, but there are always things that stand out. So think about what those things are and how can you make them relate to your business in this industry. Here's a great example. Valentine's Day was yesterday, so this is a perfect example. Shout out to Quality Title, shout out to Patrick Malone, great guy that works with Quality on the WFG side of things. They do all kinds of social media stuff. So yes, what is title, right? Basic term, people need to know it. We need to educate our clients and customers on what it is. Consumers have no idea what we do. Here's the kind of engagement that they got, right? Patrick and 4 other people. Look at this post that they did for Valentine's Day. They didn't necessarily even tag all of these people. And without tagging them, all they said was Happy Love Day. They showed the faces of their team, the people that their clients and customers know, like, and trust. And look at the engagement there. Right, 38, and this had just been posted when I took a screen grab of it. So 5 versus 38. Why? Because they humanized it, right? They showed their team. It's not just a graphic. And so when you post, start thinking about that. You know, there's a title company in Texas that became really well known for having all kinds of infographic flyers and takeaways for things that have nothing to do with title, right? So if you remember traveling in the past, and still actually, you know, those like card filing systems that they have in hotels that have all the like, you know, here's a flyer for the water park, here's a flyer for a wine tour, all that kind of stuff. They actually ended up having those in their own office. Now they've gone mostly digital, but people would go into their offices just to get these things. So in Texas, breweries are really popular. Obviously, they're popular everywhere, but so what are some of the best breweries in the area? What are some authentic Texas experiences? What about wine tasting, live music, theater productions? So they started creating all of these things, and they became things that their clients and customers not only found valuable, but they would share with their clients and customers. So how nice was it when somebody was coming to town and the first thing they did as a real estate agent was share some of these things that were branded to this company, right? And it has zero to do with title. But what is the final result? Building more relationships, brand recognition, and deals in the door. So title can be fun. It doesn't have to be boring, and not everything has to be Title 101. Is Title 101 important, and do we need to be showing our clients and customers exactly what we do and what our industry is all about? Yes. Should it be the only thing we talk about? Please no. So here's some tips for engaging content, and I'll have a takeaway right after this. So at the end of the day, focus on people, create community, focus on your community. You just saw in that example the difference between a graphic, which was a nice graphic with good information, and a group of people, right? Their cousins saw them, their friends, their family, their favorite real estate agent saw them, and they wanted to engage with that. So focus on your community. 89% of consumers stay loyal, which is what it's all about in a market like we're in right now, right? We are going to live and die based on the loyalty of our clients and customers, the people that continue to support our business. We're going to talk about gratitude in just a second. But these are the people that allow us to continue to stay afloat, right? They let us be successful. They let us stay afloat when times are a little tough, and we need their loyalty. 89% of them stay loyal to brands with shared values. So if you and your team are doing things within the community, talk about it. It's marketing 101, right? At the end of the day, do you want to be braggadocious about what you do for the community? No, but when you're lifting others up, new businesses, community spotlights on charitable endeavors, all these types of things, nothing bad comes from using that as content. I love a good flashback. You know, if you post a picture of some of the most well-known people within your company as children, and it's a funny baby picture, and say, you know, this was before Sam had a title was even a glimmer in his eye, like check out Sam in 1984. Those types of things get more engagement than you can imagine, and it humanizes you, right? That's the whole point of social media, is to be social, to humanize one another and make us relatable. People do business with people that they know, they trust, and they like. How do they like you? They know who you actually are in an authentic way. Celebrate others. Celebrate milestones for people within your company. It doesn't have to be necessarily every single birthday or something like that, but if somebody gets a new certification, lift them up and praise them publicly, right? Their friends and family appreciate it. They appreciate it. It's a great way to retain top talent. But celebrating others is so much better than being braggadocious about our own accomplishments. Go a little bit behind the scenes. You know, show them what goes on a day in the life of a title agent, right? What happens behind the scenes? We had a card system for some, you know, when Texas got its sovereignty in the 1800s, all the way back to that. And so we had this huge room with what looked like the Dewey Decimal that had not been digitized yet, that were handwritten cards from the 1840s and 50s. And so I showed that one time on social media, and people could not believe, and it just led them to know how complicated the title business actually is. Social media takeovers for me are kind of fun, whether it's a receptionist or an escrow officer or a closer or a processor or a post closer, whoever it is. You know, show them that you trust them and that you believe in them by giving them access to your social media for a day, and ask them to post 4 or 5 stories and a couple posts about a day in their life. Not only does it build great rapport with the person, they know that you trust them to be a representative of your brand online, but it also gets more people engaged. And one thing I would say is, you know, gratitude absolutely wins the day. You know, I in 2021, towards the beginning of the year, I spent a day kind of just reflecting on what had gone on the last few years, and there'd been some challenges in my life and things that happened that I wish I would have handled differently, and things that I was so absolutely grateful for. And I just kind of sat down and I thought about it. And I know a lot of people have done it this year, picking kind of a word for the year. But I was an early adopter, I did it no, I'm kidding. But so I did that in 2021, and the word I came up with was gratitude. And then 2022 rolled around, and I sat down and I started trying to think, and I started thinking about resolve, and then I started thinking about other words, and it was like appreciation and all this, and I realized like I wasn't done with the word gratitude yet. And frankly, as we begin, as we're halfway through the second month of 2023, I kind of feel like I'm still not done with that word. I mean, we are where we are, not only, in my opinion, by the grace of God, but by the people around us that have allowed us to have a successful career, that have allowed us to be successful in our own right. So being grateful, thanking our clients and customers that allow us to be of service to them, that have allowed us to find the success that we have, is super, super important. So gratitude always wins the day, whether it's thanking someone for a closing, whether it's congratulating someone on a new development, whether it's congratulating someone on becoming a parent, whatever it might be. Showing some gratitude and appreciation goes a long, long way. And at the end of the day, anything you do on social, tag away. So whether it's a realtor client, lender clients, buyers, sellers, developers, a local nonprofit or charitable organization, whatever it is, tag them so that their clients and customers and followers see that. And that's a great way to go viral for free. And if you combine these two things, showing some gratitude towards someone and then tagging them, it's amazing how many interactions you'll get. And the virality or the viral nature of social media really stands through. So one of the questions I get the most is, okay, yes, I get it. We need to do social, but what the heck do I talk about? So I came up not long ago with a quick little 20 ideas for social media content specifically for title companies. This will be a takeaway at the end, so you don't have to take a picture or write anything down here. But sometimes the hardest thing to do is to come up with what to say, what to post. So here's 20 quick and easy ideas. And again, I'll have that in the takeaway at the very end. So myth number 4, numero cuatro, marketing is only to create new customers. Everyone knows this in the market already anyway. I can't tell you how many people have said that. Like, I think marketing is only for new customers, and most people in our market already know us, so we don't do a whole lot of it. We kiss hands, or we kiss babies and shake hands and mix and mingle, and through networking is the only way that we get our business. So that can be true to some extent, but absolutely marketing can be for a lot more than just creating new customers. Recruiting and retention. Is this the same place that we were in 2 years ago when we needed bodies and we just couldn't find enough people to hire? Obviously it's not, right? Like, it's a challenging time, but recruiting and especially retaining top talent is more important than ever in a market like this. So marketing can absolutely be done internally. It can be used for internal morale, right? Like Movement Mortgage, if you've ever heard of it. Everybody that works there, everything they have has 2 M's on it. Their hats, their shirts, their watches, their pens, everything. They've bought into the brand, and that is actually really important marketing, and it's just internal, right? Having a hashtag strategy for your company is more important than ever. At my old company, we were the local brand in El Paso, Texas, right? So all I had to do was get online and search the local brand, and I had a repository of all kinds of posts from not only our clients and customers, but especially from our team, which then I could repurpose into marketing pieces or sharing that stuff on social media, doing what we were just talking about, being grateful for our team, things like that. Now, if you search because of you, right? Like, I'll find everybody that I work with at WFG does, hashtag because of you, or hashtag my homies at MyHome now, right? I can find that information super quickly. So coming up with a hashtag strategy for your business is really important, and it makes it easy to go find great content that you can repurpose, right? Recruitment marketing is super important. People look at you before they come work for you. The jobs market is absolutely in flux. It is not where we were recently, but it's still important to be able to focus on these things. And 88% of job seekers, and think of this too, by the way, before I finish this, like, not only is this for job seekers and people that may potentially be working with you or kind of looking at moving companies or something like that, but it's also clients and customers, right? So 88% of job seekers find company culture vital for success. So not only do they find company culture important, they find it vital. And millennials find company culture the most important thing when seeking a job. The most important thing, more important than money, right? More important than location, more important than anything. Company culture is the most important thing to a millennial if they think they're going to find success in a job. So I talked about it earlier. I mean, millennials, they'll move someplace because they want to move there and then look for a job, not the other way around like we're used to. So your culture, displaying it on social, displaying it in public and using PR and things like that is more important than ever, not only for retaining the top talent that you have, preventing attrition, preventing people from jumping ship and going to some place that's knocking on their door, but also for finding new talent, right? So you can do this in a lot of different ways. And so getting creative is kind of something that's funny. So let's talk Tinder. By a show of hands, how many people on the, no, I'm kidding. So not that I know a lot about Tinder. I definitely was not on it last week for sure. But I think there's something kind of hilarious about doing things differently, right? And so there was a company based in New York that was looking to fill a bunch of paid internships. They were having a hard time finding people in that moment for these internships. Some were paid, some were unpaid. So they started thinking about it and they're like, well, who are the people that will be taking these internships? Typically speaking, they'll be, you know, people that are early on in their professional career, fresh out of school. So we can kind of get an idea of that. And then they looked and they said, well, I mean, there's 500 million users and the average age is 18 to 34, fresh into a career. So why don't we create some Tinder profiles? So they absolutely did it. And at the end of the day, and you can Google this, by the way, if you Google like Tinder for recruiting, all these articles will come up about this company in New York that did it. And I can't remember how many it was, but I think it was like 100 internships. It was a lot. And they filled all of them, and most of them they filled using Tinder. So why does this matter? The way you think it's always been done doesn't have to be the way it's done in today's world. So if somebody can recruit 100 interns using Tinder, then we can find interesting and exciting ways. We don't have to be Google, right? We don't have the money to create a building like this with nap pods and putting greens and bikes to ride around our complex. I don't even know if they're back to work at Google, by the way, which is hilarious that they created this incredible space and then now nobody even goes there. But we don't have to be them. We don't have to show a culture like that. That's not us, and it's not possible, frankly. But who can we be, right? So here's a couple of people that I've worked with in the past. My boy, Mark Stiles in Marshfield, Massachusetts. Love this guy. They market in ways that show they have a great culture. It shows they have fun. It shows that they support their clients and their community. So how cool is this? A client of ours in Patchogue, New York on Long Island, there's someone, this guy right here, I forget his name, Christian. So he was on American Idol and is in the area. So they had him come in once around the lunch hour and perform a few songs for everybody. How awesome is that, right? Like, do you want to work at a place where somebody from American Idol comes in and sings songs at lunch? Like, yeah, that sounds pretty cool, right? Styles, they do things together as a team. They give back, doing charitable things like Toys for Tots and things like that. And then they lift up those organizations and those people by talking about it. So you don't have to be Google, but you can be this. Milkshakes, massages, and puppies. You know, I saw at a time when we were really busy, when I was with our independent agency in Texas and New Mexico, and people were overworked, underpaid, and felt unappreciated, right? That just was the honest truth about what was happening. They had a lot going on. They felt like, you know, they were unappreciated. And I started thinking, how can I make them feel like as appreciated as they are? Because we couldn't do this without them, and we love them and appreciate them. Absolutely. So it was as simple as on a hot summer day, I'd go get a ton of milkshakes and drop them off at all the offices and say hi to people. It was this, and people would post about this, by the way. People that worked with us would post about it saying, oh my gosh, great company. Thanks so much for doing these things for us. It's nice to know you care, right? That was the only difference. Massages. I paid a massage therapist to come with one of those like sitting, you know, kind of upright chairs, and we put it off in a room, and everybody was allowed to go in there and book a time for 10 or 15 minutes and get a quick massage during the day because they were stressed out and they were feeling unappreciated. When's the last time a masseuse came into your office and gave everybody a quick massage to show them not only that they were appreciated, but also help them relax a little bit? Probably never. And that cost me probably $200 for 2.5 or 3 hours. So it was not something that I spent a ton of money on. And there was a ASPCA and like some pet charities were doing a fundraiser with Uber where you could order an Uber and it would come to your office and bring a bunch of puppies, and you could play with the puppies for like 20 minutes. It was amazing what happened when I bought, something's good, something not so good. I had to go buy a bunch of carpet cleaner, but that's a whole nother story. But it was amazing what happened to people's faces when there were a bunch of little puppies that ran in there, right? Started running around the office. And so it's simple little things, and that cost me like $20, right? Totally changed the trajectory of that week, showing people that we're fun, we can have a good time, we support and appreciate each other, and we're not like everybody else. So you can do those things. You don't have to have nap pods and putting greens like Google, but you can do things like that, right? So myth number 5, this is our final myth. No one reads title company reviews, and we certainly won't get business from them. So Sam, shut up, stop talking about reviews. I am so bullish on having great online reputation for your company. People are searching for you before you even know they exist, now more than ever. And so there's some really powerful things that I think we need to think about here. And one is 79% of consumers trust online reviews as much or more than recommendations from their friends. If you knew my friends, you'd know why almost 80% of people would trust an online review more than their friends, right? For millennials, we keep talking about them, the M word, which I'm on the cusp, by the way, I'm like right there, 39, like December 83, I'm right there. So I'm going to say I'm a millennial. 91% of millennials trust an online review more than their friends, right? So can you see the importance of reviews just from those? And those are all according to Rate My Agent. So we did a little bit of a beta test with WFG in Portland, and we had, which we're going to see more of right now, right? We're starting to see some more FSBOs. People are trying to pinch pennies anywhere they can. And so we had 12 FSBOs come in, and we surveyed all of them to figure out how they found us, why they were going to be closing with us. And you guessed it, the number one reason was reviews. They Googled title company near me, title closing, real estate closing, whatever it might be, which work on those keywords on your Google business profile if you haven't already. Keywords and service areas, really important. And they found us that way. So every single one of those 12, that was their reason. I think there was like one that had a friend that was an agent back in the day or something. But anyway, that's how important those are. And we want to capture all of those deals, and that's a great way to do it. And everyone says, but Sam, my market is different. So I have 2 examples here, one from Philly and one from the Hamptons, right? When I think of the Hamptons, I think of like $1 million listing New York. I think everybody, they don't even look at the houses before they buy them. They have somebody else look at the house for them, right? Like they have their financial advisors and stuff take care of all this stuff. So here is from the Hamptons. Hey, just wanted to tell you we got a $2 million refi order from Texas in West Hampton Beach based on Google reviews and a free website that we made, by the way. They cost us nothing to make. Cost like $12 a year to host. We made it through GoDaddy. And of course, they were going to use it. The proof is in the pudding. This is in the Hamptons, right? Somebody in Texas was doing a real estate deal in the Hamptons and just Googled. That's all they did. They didn't know anybody up there. This is in Philly. Hey, wanted to reach out and let both of you know that we received some great business from the Google business page we set up in June. What's next, right? So if you don't believe it works, don't take my word for it. These are 2 title agents, one in Philadelphia, one in West Hampton in the Hamptons, which is just as beautiful as you've ever seen on TV, by the way. Awesome people out there. Shout out to Dee. So they absolutely work. People are searching, how do you look, right? How many reviews do you have and how good are they? If you're out of town and you're looking for a great sushi place, you see one that has 20 reviews and you see one that has 200 reviews, where are you going? Instantly, without looking at anything else, you're going to the one with 200 reviews, right? So absolutely, it should be a part of your strategy to ramp up your reviews. And the last takeaway is going to be a how-to guide, 5 steps to do that. So hang on for just a second for that. And I actually, one of the things I hear from people a lot is, hey, I'm afraid that if we start ramping up reviews too much, we're going to get some bad reviews. Let me tell you right now, I actually like bad reviews. I know that sounds weird. Obviously, I don't want all bad reviews, but there's a lot of statistics that say that if you have straight 5 stars, it's almost like people don't trust you as much as if it's 4.7, 4.8, 4.6. And so what I did with bad reviews is turn them into an opportunity to build empathy with a future client or customer that's going to read that review. So I would reply and say, I would use my name personally and my personal cell phone number as a way to humanize it. But I'd say, hey, this is Sam Trimble, Vice President of Business Development at the time. This is my cell phone number. I'm so sorry that you didn't have a great experience. We strive for 5-star experience every time we close a transaction. I'm sorry you didn't have that. Please give me a call on my cell phone. Here it is again. I'd love to talk to you and see what I can do to turn that frown upside down. I'll be looking forward to talking to you. Thanks for taking the time to let us know that we have some things to work on, right? I didn't get mad and defensive. I didn't get pushy or arrogant. I didn't do something to be kind of dismissive of them. I heard what they were saying. I offered them a chance to have a conversation and a solution. So probably, technically there's a statistic that says over 70%, it's like 72% of the times that somebody replies to one of those reviews, the person will either edit or delete it. So that's what usually happens. They either edit it and say, you know what, I talked to Sam, it was a miscommunication, everything was good. Or they'll just delete it because now they feel bad. Or if they leave it, the future person that sees that, a future client, a customer, maybe a lender, whoever it is that sees that, will see that you met that challenge head on, you offered a solution, and they'll actually feel bad that that person left you a negative review. You create empathy with someone before you've even met them. So that's why every once in a while I like bad reviews. And also, sometimes somebody says something that we needed to hear, right? They say something that maybe we should start looking into changing the way we do something, or maybe our communication wasn't on point, and we need to listen and learn, like Trader Joe's. I use them as an example. I was in a Young Presidents Organization course with a business professor from Stanford one day, and he gave this anecdote. And to me, it's a great story. So he asked everybody in the room, where did Trader Joe's start their business? And people were like, oh, food and granola and all these things, and like the things that we think of now. Their top 2 selling products that they started their business with were cigarettes and ammunition. Can you believe that? It was a trading post, cigarettes and ammunition. Every month, every 30 days, they took their top performing products and doubled down on products like that. They took their bottom performing products and not only stopped focusing on them, they eliminated them from their store, and they became who they are today doing that practice. If we do that as small businesses, as a title company, we can absolutely hear what people are saying, use that information, bob and weave, listen and learn like Trader Joe's, and become even better than we are right now. So we need to listen sometimes, and really we kind of build authority with future clients, right? Lending institutions are starting to have some REOs, right? They're looking at who they're going to do business with. So you can market your ratings, your whether it's an NPS score or Google ratings or wherever they are, you can market those when you're trying to appeal to those lending clients, those mortgage companies that are going to be handing out some of those foreclosures and REOs. And you can show them that you care, right? If I go in and I ask somebody, hey, I'd really love to be your title company of choice, and I want you to know that we take any person you send our way seriously. When you send someone to our title company, we know in today's world, they're going to search for us and see who we are and what we're all about. We want you to know that when they search for us, they're going to see a fantastic online reputation with great ratings, and they'll know that you sent them to the right place. We appreciate this opportunity. How many times has that person been told something like that? You guys are focusing on reviews partly so that we look good when we send things your way, and you've thought all the way down that, and that seems to make sense. Who am I going to work with in that situation? So I think there's a lot of things you can do with reviews, but they're really, really important. So the last takeaway is this, kind of a 5-step process to be able to really ramp up your reviews using QR codes, using email, mailers, different things like that. So I absolutely am glad to share those things with you. Like anything else, do the work and the results will follow. Take one thing that you heard today that you thought was even moderately interesting. Hopefully there was at least one, right? Take that, go sit down in your next manager's meeting. Go sit down with your sales staff or your marketing staff or your team and talk through what that might look like for you and your business. And you will absolutely see the results when you do it. So I just want to thank Jeremy so much for the opportunity, and the American Land Title Association for letting me be here today. This was a big goal for me to do this, and Jeremy, you helped me reach that goal for 2023 early in the year. So I'm so grateful and thankful. I'm glad to be a part of the WFG family of companies, and I really appreciate the opportunity that they have given me, including MyHome. If you scan this QR code, it will have all of those takeaways that I just talked about. And if you want to connect on social or LinkedIn, give each other some recommendations or whatever, I would love to do that. I'd love to stay in contact. This is a amazing industry, and some way, somehow, we're always going to work together at some point. So rising tide raises all ships, and I'm glad to have been here today, hopefully raising the tide together. So thanks again, Jeremy, for having me.
Sam, wow, you took it to the house, man. and I already did scan the QR code there on that last slide too. So awesome. Wow, a lot of marketing ideas, I think, for people to chew on and go and implement and try and have fun with. I think at the end of the day, is have fun with what you're doing. And that will probably show with the product, and your customers will see you have fun and want to do business with you. We got a little time for Q&A, so pop them in the box, and we'll hang out with Sam, and we'll pick his brain a little bit more. Interesting question from Chris, and I think the answer you provided will also probably be what he's heard from marketing consultants. So how important is website design, layout, functionality versus social media presence? So they're a small title company. They focus on social media with a decent website design, but they've heard mixed opinions from marketing consultants. So Sam, where would you say to put the focus on, the website or social media? For me, I view the website as the holy grail. That's your repository. That's your brand. That's where you say that's who you are and what you do and how people get a hold of you. And if you have different functionality on your website, or tracking your order or placing an order, things like that. And then use the social media to communicate and then draw people to your website. You might have a different view, but that's kind of my quick, what's your analysis on that?
So I'll take the opposite just for fun, right? So the way I see it is, someone needs to find you first, and the first place like Google has literally become an adverb, right? Is an adverb or a verb, like to Google somebody, right? Like, so the first thing they're going to do is go to Google. Bing's trying to make a comeback right now using artificial intelligence. So here's hoping we have two options moving forward, but they're going to go to Google and they're going to Google you. So the very first thing they're going to see is your reviews and your Google profile. Right. So like if I'm a relatively small company and I'm not trying to break the bank doing things, Google is free, right? Getting control of your page, optimizing it with photos, promoting reviews, making sure your hours are up to date, making sure your service area and services are up to date and robust. That is free. Social media is also free, and it's the social side of selling, right? Like it's called social for a reason. The thing with a website is this, there's just so many levels, right? Like I'm good friends with the guys at TitleTap that build, Jeremy, you and I were hanging out with Dean in New York when we did that panel. They do incredible work with the functionality they have is unbelievable. The calculators, the forms, the SEO on the back end, the connectivity to social, all that stuff is awesome. But if I'm a really small title company and I'm trying not to break the bank in this moment, I'm focusing on the things that I can control for as small a cost as possible. And to me, that is social and Google. You need to have a website. It needs to be mobile friendly. It needs to be optimized for a digital or for a mobile device. This is where people are finding you for the most part. So that's really important. You can knock out something on Wix that has some, a chat bot and some good connectivity and stuff like that, but it will never be what you could do with somebody like our friends at TitleTap, right? So I think, what is your actual budget? And then talk to some people within the industry, see what they're doing, what you like and what you don't like, and then kind of go from there. But in reality, in a perfect world, you'd have an incredibly robust website that was constantly updated with blogs and had social connectivity and a chat bot. But in the real world, I remember looking at the bottom line of a P&L and being like, dude, I can't keep spending, you know what I mean? And so I think budget is where you start. And then once you've determined that, you go down the road that you can go down right now.
Yeah. Sam, would you mind going back to the QR code slide? A couple of people wanted to shoot it.
Cool. Yeah, I can't, I don't see the questions or whatever. So there we go.
Oh, that's all right. And then another, just kind of a funny question, Andrew wanted to know how's your hair so meticulously maintained? So fantastic job.
That's the funny thing about that is I got teased by Allie Flath in Ohio, one of our marketing technology directors, about getting a haircut. So I got a haircut yesterday, and then I saw her, and she's like, "You need to go back and get a refund." So some people see it differently.
couple more questions, if you don't mind, then we'll wrap up. Katie asks, is it beneficial to market digital closing options as a way to stand out from other companies? Again, I'll offer a quick thing. If you could, any way you stand out from your competition, highlight it, showcase it. Definitely go for it. Sam, what do you think?
Oh, absolutely. Anything. I mean, so the shifting market I define as a battle for conversations. Like that's what a shifting market becomes. Who can have more conversations? So if there's anything that makes you stand out from the crowd, absolutely talk about it, and show why it matters and why is it important, right? Like how does it free up time for your clients and customers? How does it make the process easier? Why should they care? Because a lot of people are saying they offer it, but they don't really tell them like why this should matter to you as the consumer. So when you can focus on how this is going to be better for you, Mr. or Mrs. Client, buyer, seller, realtor, lender, whatever, that's when it's really impactful. So absolutely, you should be talking about that stuff, Katie, and that's fantastic.
Yeah. Two more and we'll wrap up. Randy asked, traditionally title industry is B2B, marketing to the referral people, realtors, lenders, so does online marketing work? I guess it depends. It depends who you got to one, figure out who you're targeting, who are you going after, and put them in the buckets, and then decide, when you're going to pull a lever on a certain marketing strategy.
Yeah, so I love that question because that's one of the pushbacks I get often, and I love it because it's a great question, right? Like, does it really, how can we really make this stuff work? So I'm on one of the last slides, I talked about being able to tell a lender, hey, I know that people are looking up what you're recommending. They're double checking on you. So when they check on me as a title company that you're sending them to, they want to know who I am and why I'm going there, and are you getting a kickback, and why would you recommend them? They want to know all these things, right? Like consumers are highly educated because we have the power of all information ever in the history of the world at our fingertips. So the way I kind of spin that is, in my own mind, if most consumers have no idea what title insurance even is, let's be honest, right? So they don't even know what it is, what we do, why we matter, why it's important. So can we educate them a little bit to some extent? Yes, absolutely. The more they see our brand, the more they trust us. The more they see our faces, the more they trust us. The more they trust us, the more they like us, and the more they want to do business with us, right? But really, the way I think about it is Mr. and Mrs. Realtor or Mr. and Mrs. Attorney or Mr. and Mrs. Lender that are sending me business as a title company, I am making sure that my reputation looks fantastic online. We look enjoyable, fun to be around, and good at what we do and full of experience, so that when your clients and customers reach where you're recommending they go, they know you've sent them to the right place.
Yeah.
Right? So it's kind of the trickle down from that. There's no budget on earth high enough to make every consumer in the United States know what title insurance is. Like that will never happen. But what we can do is be an industry that is appreciated, kind of revered, and shows our vendor partners or our partners in the industry, our realtors, our lenders, or whatever, that we're like-minded, because they're there, and you like to do business with people that are like-minded. So if a real estate brokerage uses high-tech software and great tech and tons of social, and you do none of that, you're not relatable, right? Like, so that's part of the reason too. So there's kind of a long-winded answer, but I absolutely think it's necessary and it can help. The proof is in the pudding.
Yeah, and just as a reminder to Alta members on the presentation, all Alta members companies are listed on our consumer education website, Home Closing 101. Historically, the top viewed pages on the website are closing costs explained and what to expect at closing. The third is find a title company. So people are actually wanting to connect and find title companies that help them with their transactions. So definitely a member benefit, and definitely just highlights the online presence that's important for a title company. Dan, Lily, we got to wrap it up. But question about Google Ads, tagging real estate agents and making others jealous. Reach out to Sam. Maybe you can have a Zoom call and share a beverage and hash that out. And just one other plug for what Alta provides. A lot we have through our homeowner outreach program. We have tons of content that you can use to educate, market your business. It is it is what Sam said, more Title 101, but it's the baseline stuff that you don't have to create. So you take it and then make it your own, because we're national. We can never be what the local title agent is, and the expertise you have and the things you know in your market. And then, so use that to supplement who you are and what you do, and showcase your employees and your company. And that's at alta.org/homeowner. Getting a few questions also. If you missed parts of today's webinar, or you want others in your office to listen, you'll get a recording with a link to the presentation tomorrow. You can always find our archive of webinars at alta.org/webinars. And with that, we'll call it wraps for today's presentation. Sam, again, you took this one to the house, so thank you for joining us.
Oh, thanks so much for the opportunity. I really mean that. It was a goal for me for the year, so I can check that box, and I'm grateful for it. So thank you.
All right. Well, hopefully we see you on the speaking tour, for 2023 again. Hopefully it's not just a one and done. So thank you, and take care, everyone.
Thanks. Bye, everybody.